merenguera, mueve la cintura, salsa rock, muévele, muévele, cumbia rock, all night. Latino.
Right.
And we're back, and we've got a special guest in the house, Roger Scott Budge. Now, he's a cinematographer, a songwriter, and also an educator. So glad that you could be on our show, Roger. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to our show. Are you excited to be here?
Absolutely.
Surrounded by all this.
Anything for the Latino world.
Tell us everything that you do. You do a little bit of everything. You almost wear like 20 hats, right?
Yeah, but you know, what do they say about jack of all trades and master of none? You know,
Right.
I guess, you know, what happens is, you know, it's funny because on my way here, I was like, I'd put together in my bio and I'm thinking, wow, wait a minute, you know, who am I really? And that's what you come to in life, you know, and you may learn that when you're young or not until you know, get older, that, okay, who am I really?
I don't know that yet.
At heart, exactly, after that bio.
Right.
But, you know, I'm originally from Idaho. I've been in Texas since 1985. And so, like they say, that bumper sticker, like, I'm not from Texas, but I got here as quick as I could.
Yeah, transplant. Yeah.
But the love of it is that I lived in Spain and I acquired learning Spanish. Sure, I'm a güero or a gringo or whatever, but it's like my love for the Latin culture is immense. And so going back to your question, first at heart, I'm an educator. I can't help it. And it's because of my 11-year-old daughter, Chloe, who has disabilities. And I'm a big fan. I totally support anyone and everyone who has a disability. It can be minute. You may know people that are actually hard of hearing, or technically when they were in school, they were like a 504 student and they were classified as being deaf, but you never knew it. And so all of us have something. We're not all perfect, but that helps us appreciate and desarrollar empathy for who each one of us are. So my daughter Chloe is the big proponent, but educator.
You actually wrote a song that inspired a lot of the children's disabilities, right?
Yes, and that song is called Eres, or in English, You Are. And believe it or not, I first wrote it in English because of a grand mentor who considered himself an adept, but he was really, I believe, a master. He mentored me for the entire year that I was teaching in Acres Home in Aldine Independent School District. And this man helped me with my daughter. We were told she would not ever talk or walk.
Right.
And he helped us with unconventional methods to help her be able to do those. And by the time he got through mentoring us and using unconventional methods such as music, vibrations that stimulate the cells, that helped her grow her myelin sheath, that made all the difference. So that song was derived from his teachings, my daughter developing into a young lady that if you listen close enough, you can understand when she says, I love you.
Oh.
And there's nothing,
Oh, yeah.
I mean.
When your kids say that to you?
Sweeter than
Oh, yeah.
It's just amazing. So
You're melting. You melt slowly.
yeah, so Eres is a really special song. It comes from a lot of scientific and, in between the line stuff where you go, wow, this is a neat song. You don't know why, but as there's water, as a cinematographer, we shoot things and there may be this calm, amazing glass water, but there's undercurrents that you don't see. And a really good actor can show you those undercurrents when they're acting. Even though they may seem placid, you can see there's something else going on.
Right.
And the key with kids with disabilities is letting them be heard. Because so many people patronize them just to say, oh, you're so cute. And sometimes people say to the mother, I'm so sorry. She goes, and the mothers will say, I'm not sorry. I love my child the way they are.
Right.
And we've come a long ways from coming out of being handicapped or retarded. Those words are no-nos anymore.
Right.
It's you have a disability. Someone is not disabled. They're not broken. They have a disability. So my daughter was the inspiration for Eres. And maybe one time in the future I can sing that for you here.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. We'll definitely have to bring you back whenever we have the studio set up so you can perform that for us.
Thank you.
Now, a little bit of your background, and because it's such a different switch from being an educator to everything else that you've done, because I know you've done music videos, you've done directing, producing, independent films. I mean, that's just so much, so broad. You've kind of put your hands in everywhere. And that's an interesting environment for me, because I've always been interested on, what does it take to do something like that, you know? So
did you just start with one thing and then maybe you just kind of got involved and you met people and it just
that's kind of the way it was. I've always loved people, and I've always loved to study people and just look at people and see, again, it's that calm water and what's going on in the inside effect. And a lot of times, I think if a person is carta cabal or someone that's worth their salt when they actually have the ability in their life it's how they treat young people, very young people, and how they treat and respect their elders.
Absolutely.
So in the Latin culture, the love of it is, when I was teaching, the children, it's amazing. You have some situation, the parents come in, what can I do about my child? And they're very loving and nurturing. They want their child, and there's the high respect level, and there's such a great love in the Latin culture. But through it all, in being a director and doing film, answering your question, it started early when I was in Idaho, and at 14 years old, I actually had the opportunity to write and direct and produce our own film short that won awards. And it was in a ghost town setting, and that's where I caught the bug. All of a sudden I was, wow.
So what was it about?
Well, it was kind of like How the West Was Won, and it was totally a skit, and it almost looked like Charlie Chaplin, I'm telling you. I mean, it was like shot on a Canon Bolex 16 millimeter.
Kind of like that movie Super 8 where the kids have it. Was that kind of like that?
Man, it was that feeling,
Wow.
and there was a shopkeeper, and then there was a little mugging in the creek, but literally you could go to Idaho and see a gravestone that said, John was killed by a bar. And they'd call it a bar, even though they wouldn't spell bear correctly.
Right.
But that's how they pronounced things back when.
Yeah.
So education has come a long ways, and it started all back there. And then when I moved to Texas and I graduated from Sam Houston State University, that's when everything came together in getting a degree in radio, television, and film with a Spanish minor. And then from there, I started doing music videos out of college for rap.
Why did you target Spanish so much? You said you got a Spanish minor. Why did you occur to Spanish? Or go towards Spanish? Why not French? Why not?
Well, because previous to that, I'd lived in Spain, and while living in Spain, I developed a great love for the Latin culture and music, and I learned Spanish by. I'm telling you, this is going to date me, but some of these old
I think
songs,
you're going to have to hold that thought.
yeah,
It's getting awesome. It's getting interesting,
Yeah.
but we're going to have to hold that thought.
right on.
We want to know a little bit more about you, so be sure to stay tuned, and we'll be back with Scott, and maybe he can talk a little Spanish for us so we can listen to his little accent. Stay tuned.